Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Shearer, your host of the Winning Women Talk Show, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this evening. If you are a regular viewer or listener, you know each week there's a different woman on our show who's sharing her journey to doing what she's passionate about. Many of these passions stem around being able to fully accomplish their career goals. Many of them are focused on a vocation, and the others are just, I thought I was going to do this, but it turned out that I fell in love with this. And that's what I mean when I say that they're passionate about. They can't help themselves. They know this is their world and they're happy and content in it. But whatever their trajectory may be, whatever their journey is, you have also heard some of the challenges, the obstacles, the hurdles that these women had to overcome. Not everyone had it tough to make sure that they're doing what they love to do, but some of them had to overcome some things. And I hope that regardless of which way the story went, that you've been hearing things that really make you excited, motivated, inspired, and say to yourself, if you have been thinking about changing careers because you're really not doing that something you love, if she can do it, so can I. That's the whole purpose of the show, is to get you motivated to make those changes that will fulfill your passions. And so we invite you to participate because our guests love to hear from our viewers and our listeners. So if you have your pens and pencils ready or your digital devices, I know that's how you store it today, then please call us at 781-384-5587. That's 781-384-5587. Or you can email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com, because we'd love to hear from you and know what your questions are and the comments you'd like to make. That beautiful lady you've been looking at is our guest tonight, and her name is Carlene Walker. She's the owner of Precision Paws Dog Grooming Salon, which is located in Norwood, Massachusetts. As a professional pet groomer, Carlene started by traveling to her clients' homes or businesses, transporting her table and dryer to their bathrooms, garages, kitchens, and living rooms in order to provide in-home grooming services. But after a few months, she was able to secure a brick and mortar location where she's been for the past 4 years. Carlene became fascinated with animals when she was in the sixth grade. Now, this is how she transitioned. She started with mice as pets. Then she began caring for snakes. And you're going to have to ask her that question yourself. Maybe she'll just share it with us, how that came to be. And eventually, she grew into a lifelong love for dogs. Prior to earning her own business, she worked for a company for 15 years, starting as a bather brusher and eventually becoming the salon, this is a pet salon, the salon manager, and turning it into the highest grossing location in the district. Carlene graduated from Mount Ida College in Massachusetts with a bachelor's in veterinary technology, and she has been in the pet grooming business for 18 years. Now that's love for pets. Welcome, Carlene, to the Winning Women Talk Show.
Hello. Thank you for
I
having me.
We're so glad to have you here this evening to tell us about that journey you took to doing what you do. And I can assure you, there are many of us, I love pets. I don't know if I'd want to groom them, but I surely enjoy their presence and playing with them, petting them. But there are many, I'm hoping tonight, who are pet owners who love their pets. They are like family, right, to
Yeah.
so many people. And we know that they serve multiple purposes. They don't just make you smile or laugh, but people bring them into hospitals, into nursing homes. Senior citizens get very excited and happy when they see pets that, are brought to them. And that also transitions into being service animals and
Mhm.
serve many purposes, helping people with PTSD and other things. They calm us.
Yes, they do.
They calm us, and at that some point, they really are part of the family.
No,
Right.
not at some point. Once you get them, they're part of the family.
Right. So we want to know how you get to do this thing that you love, and the journey that you took to get there.
Well, I grew up in New York, and I never I don't know exactly where it started, but I've always loved animals. My brother used to indulge me, and he used to come home with snakes and all kinds of things to give me. And in sixth grade, we had pet mice. And we had to take him home for a vacation, and I volunteered without asking my mom. And I came home with these two white mice in a tank, and I was like, "We have to keep them." And she was just like, "Oh my gosh, being a Jamaican mom, you don't have those kinds of things in the house. Those are not pets." But I've just always loved animals. So I had my snakes, I had mice. Once I was looking for what I wanted to do for college, I had my dog, my first dog, Sam. He was a mutt. We got him off the street, but I used to find myself on the porch blow drying him with my mom's blow dryer and washing him with the hose. And I was very fascinated with keeping Sam clean because he was a border collie mix. And
Mm.
I figured I liked animals. Why not go to school for animals? At that time, I didn't know what grooming was. The only thing you can kind of do was be a vet tech major, which was a veterinary technician. So I said, okay, we'll do that. I went to Mount Ida, and going through college, the animals were fun, but it was very clinical. You have the same dogs that you're training are the same dogs that you have to, put catheters in, is the same dogs you have to take blood from. So it was kind of it was training. It wasn't happy. You don't necessarily see happy dogs all the time in the vet offices when you're doing your internships. You literally get a puppy and everybody's like, "Oh my god, puppy breath, puppies." So I found grooming. I believe it was about my senior year. One of my friends went down to the pet store because everybody at that time had little beta fishes in their college dorm rooms,
Ah,
and
yes.
she was like, "I think they're hiring," and I was like, "Oh, why not?" And I went in and I started working weekends. And from there, one of the groomers that was there, she kind of liked my hustle. So she was like, "I want to train you." And I was like, "To do what?" And she's like, "To groom dogs." And at that time, I was like being a secretary at a speech and language pathologist place. It was kind of just going by to make money, work study stuff. And she taught me and been off to the races ever since. I I got the job, and then I got the position as the manager probably shortly after because the store was up and coming. And after about the 15 years I was there, we were the highest grossing store. I knew all my customers' names, dogs. It was awesome. And all people always said, if you ever leave here, let me know. And I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. And one day, I guess the universe kicked me in my butt and said, "Babe, it's time for you to go." So I
Mm.
left, and I took a lot of my clientele with me. It took
Okay.
one post on Yelp saying I was no longer there, and my clients flooded me. And at first, it was very overwhelming because you think you're working somewhere for so long that they're coming to the place because it's the place. And then when something like this happens, you realize that they were actually coming for me, and
Mhm.
that they actually liked my relationship with their dogs, or how their dogs just, trusted me with certain things. So at that time, I found myself, fired from my job, and I just had a baby. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to take it off. So I just started calling customers like, "Hey, I know you have an appointment next week. Can I come to your house?" And it just kind of grew that way. I did that for a few months. And one day I was sitting home with my daughter, and I just Googled stores near me for rent. And the place I am was the first place that popped up. I called the landlord. He's a really nice man, but he did not know what a dog grooming salon was. He's like, "What's that?" He's like, "What grooming?" And I was like, "Yeah, like dogs." And his family's really nice. They own the dance studio next door to my shop, but they let me in and they let me do it. And I've been just doing what I love ever since, being in my salon all day with my dogs and my customers coming in and building relationships and meeting people and the whole thing.
Right. Well, well, before you continue, I knew it was going to happen. So the very first question that someone emailed in is snakes. How did you end up working with snakes?
I've always loved all kinds of animals. My brother's a police officer, and you they would um confiscate pets, and sometimes there would be a snake, or sometimes there would be certain things, or he'd be like, "Oh, I have a friend that works at a shop," or I just love snakes. I had one named Jamaica, and he ate fish, and it was really cool because I would have to buy him like goldfish. Sorry, goldfish. I'd have to buy him goldfish to eat, and I would just sit there and you put the little water in the tank, and he comes and he eats. And I don't know. I just everything. I've had a bearded dragon. I've had two actually. One of them I had for about 10 years. So I am not only a dog lover. I'm an animal lover.
Oh,
Horses are a little bit too big for me. Not scared of them, but that's not my forte. But snakes, mice, I don't do hamsters either. Hamsters, rabbits, those kind of animals, not really my thing. But yeah,
oh,
I
so
have
you're not into the rodent family. Is that
no,
what you're saying?
exactly. I don't like rodents, but
Except for mice.
exactly. And that was only that set. After that, I kind of went to the snakes because I was like, they're kind of cooler. So,
Okay. All
but yes,
right.
snakes are pretty cool. Actually, my daughter's kind of into snakes. There's a reptile store by us that she wants to go to all the time, but they're not that bad. They're not that bad once you understand them.
And then there's another question, and it is you mentioned that after 15 years, it was time to go. Did you start there as a work study student? I'm not quite sure I understand.
No,
Or was this just, and it says, or was this just your friend's recommendation that lasted that long?
it was just my friend's recommendation. I went there and, it was nice. I went to school during the week and then I would just work weekends. I only started out working Saturday and Sundays
Oh,
until the person said she wanted to train me and there was a program where they trained you on the job. So I did that. But it was just my friend, I guess my friend saw something in me. She knew that I liked animals. She's like, maybe you should try this out. So it worked. I think
yeah.
she's still my best friend
Yeah.
till this day.
So, so you were your own little Dr. Doolittle there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Is there now you mentioned that you don't do, and I'm just going to say the rodent family, which encompasses those cute ones like rabbits, etc. But um, and I know you don't do horses and things, but other than dogs,
I do
is
cat nails.
do you do
Yes,
cats?
I do. So the thing about cats is they're a little bit more dangerous to groom, as you would imagine. They don't like to be groomed often, but you also need two people. I work alone. So that's one of the reasons why I don't groom cats. But I have a lot of cat owners that do come in and they hold their cats and I cut their nails and send them on
Oh,
out. So like I do that. I do cat nails, but I don't groom them at all or bathe them at all because you
right,
need another set of hands because they're
right.
kind of scrappy.
I just think I've always said that while I've when I was a child I had cats as pets, but they weren't my cats. They were someone in the family, so they were all our our cats,
Mhm,
right, as we call them. But I just found them finicky.
mhm.
And, I see people in the commercials and different things on television with cats that just sit there and they take, they play with the computers. And I have a friend the cat drives her nuts because it walks across the computer when she's writing stuff.
I
And
mean,
all I think is that's not the way I know cats. And so I've just found, and I know they'll scratch you
yeah,
in a
I mean,
heartbeat.
they all
Right.
have different personalities. I mean, like I said, I do have cats who nails I cut, and they're sweet cats, and they come in and they sit there and they get their nails clipped and they go right back into the cages. The dog on the table doesn't seem to bother them because honestly, most of them live with dogs. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people nowadays who have dogs and cats. So the age-old cats and dogs can't coexist. They do. Cats just run the house. Dogs know better.
What is the most difficult type or breed of dog for you to groom?
The small ones.
Oh,
Honestly, a lot of there's no breed I would say that's difficult. I kind of groom them all. I do a lot of doodles. So name any kind of doodle, I've groomed it, I do it. But I would say those dogs, they have different type of coats, especially when you're mixing like the Bernese Mountain Dogs with which is a shedding dog with a golden, I mean with a poodle. So you mix something that sheds with something that doesn't shed, and it's gonna shed and be curly and grow. So it's just a matter of finding out which like what would work best for them. But I would say small dogs are a little bit more difficult to groom than the bigger ones. The bigger ones kind of just come in and they're kind of dopey and they're happy and they get stuff done. Small ones are like, I got my eye on you, lady. You're gonna cut my nails, stuff like that. But I mean, honestly, I have dealt with a lot of difficult dogs, and one of the main things that I think my customers would say that they like about me is that even if it's the second or third time, they've noticed that their dog trusts me after that initial groom. My thing is, I don't hurt you. We should be good. They all have their issues. Sometimes I may need to use a muzzle the first time to cut nails or something like that. But I also know my limits. If a dog is coming in and they're going to stress themselves or they're going to hurt me, I know to say, hey, I work with these. It's better for both of us. Maybe there would be a better situation at a veterinary clinic or something like that. Or sometimes it's just that the dog is so freaked out being outside of their home. Maybe a mobile groomer would be better.
Mhm.
So there's different things. I'm always up for a challenge. I'll always try once, but I know my limits.
Right. Now you said, did I get it correct that the poodle you said doesn't shed?
So poodles have more of a hair per se than necessarily like a Bernese Mountain Dog or a Golden Retriever that kind of tend to shed more.
Right.
So poodles aren't poodles aren't really a shedding breed, but they do shed.
Okay.
They do shed. I like people don't get me out there. Poodles do shed. But yeah, so it's the whole golden doodle thing where they try to get a hypoallergenic dog, and they're all different though. Some have more golden in them than poodles, some have more poodle than golden, so you're always getting some variation of the two.
So you mentioned when you left the shop,
Mhm,
the that you started your own business
mhm,
and gave a few people calls,
mhm,
that they who knew you, who were
mhm,
used to you grooming their pets.
mhm.
And but what made you um, decide, okay, this is going to be my business? I'm not just going to do this because I like working with animals and dogs in particular, and so I have fun doing this part time. But what made you decide it's full time and I'm having mine?
I called my sister crying, and she said, "What are you crying about? They did you a favor. I told you a long time ago you had exactly what you needed." And she gave me a good old kick in the butt. That tough love. Like, pick yourself up. What are you doing? They did you a favor. Come on. And that's kind of what it took for me to be like, you know what, you're right. My customers, like, you kind of think to yourself and you're like, yeah, people have said that they would follow me. People, you know, I've been with this family through their kids getting older and driving now. And, I've known these people for the last 15 years. Like, why wouldn't they trust me? I should, you know what I mean? I should put some stock in what they've told me all these years and kind of see who I really am. And I think that's what it was that just kind of was like, all right, snap out of this. Also, I mean, I had a daughter to now take care of. There wasn't an option to just kind of sitting there and being wallowing whatever it was that I was going to wallow in. I had to get it done. I had to do what I had to do. So
Right,
like I said,
right.
within a couple of days, I wrote down so many numbers. I had numbers memorized. I was just my fingers were burning,
Yeah.
calling people and getting back to those customers. But like it was well worth it because the outpouring of support was amazing. I mean, to this day, I don't even do any advertisement. All my customers come from word of mouth, seeing my other dogs in the park or referrals from friends. I have customers who I haven't groomed their dogs in years and they're still sending people to me. So I'm just like, thank you. I mean, I appreciate it all, but I'm really blessed and I'm really happy that I went that route.
Okay. Well, listen, I have a couple questions to ask you, but I've got to take a quick break for my sponsor, one of my sponsors. But for those of you who have just joined us, you've been listening to Carlene Walker, and she is the owner, as you can see, of Precision Paws, which is a dog grooming, and I'm just going to call it a dog salon. Um, but it's a dog grooming salon. She's been talking about how she began that work. And now that she's doing it on her own, she has her own establishment, her own building for the past 4 years. And she was just commenting about her clients, how it's basically word of mouth. Because if you're saying, I haven't seen anything about a precision pause, well, it's because you don't know the right people, apparently. I'm kidding. Um, but you're going to find out more about that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break for our sponsor, but we want to remind you, we would love to hear from you. So you can call when we'd love for you to call in 781 384 5587. Or if you're phone shy, feel free to email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. And as I said, we're going to take a quick break for one of our sponsors. Don't go too far away. We'll be right back.
At Portal to Hope, we're here to help victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. We provide support, resources, and hope to those who need it most. We believe that everyone deserves to live a life free from violence. If you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out for help. Call us at 781 338 7678. We offer a variety of services including counseling, legal aid, job assistance, and housing support. We also work to raise awareness about these issues and to advocate for change. Together, we can create a world where everyone is safe and free from violence. Portal to Hope is here for you.
And we are back with our guest, Carlene Walker. Carlene, I wanted to ask you, do you partner with veterinary clinics or vets in general? Because you spend a lot of time with pets doing the things that make them feel good, smell good, look good, right? And and usually when they go to vet offices, they start shaking and a whole lot of other things. And so when that time comes where families have to say goodbye or whatever, do you do, or um, maybe they're just ill and need a special type of care? Are you in touch with vets by any chance? Do you recommend people to certain vets for the care of their dogs?
Well, I think when you're in this business, you kind of build those relationships. So the area that I'm in, there's a veterinarian close to me where, from what I've heard from a lot of clients, that they take their dog in, and he's like, "Oh, the dog has a nice groom. Who does it?" And they're like, "Oh, the store over here." So he's began to send dogs over to me at Ashland Cheyenne. But also one of my amazing clients, she owns Westwood Veterinary Services. Dr. Thorne, she actually was my dog's veterinarian towards the end of his days.
Right,
And when she got a dog, she started bringing her dog to me. So just in our relationship, she now refers some of her clients to me and stuff like that. So you have to have those kinds of relationships when you're working with animals. I mean, honestly, heaven forbid an accident happens at the shop with the dog, you have to, in those emergency times, you have to have a emergency plan to take them somewhere or to make sure that they get proper care. So
right,
those things always help. But also, I see the dogs a lot more than the veterinarians do. A lot of people only bring their dogs to the vets when there's something wrong. There's a lot
right.
of times where I've been grooming a dog and I say, "Hey, did you see that lump between his toe?" And they're like, "What lump?" Well, now that's something, and he's had to have a toe removed, or maybe they have
Hmm.
to test it to see if cancer, or something as small as, I think I can smell an ear infection. They're like, "Oh, he has been scratching at his ear. Let me take him to the vet." So just those kinds of small, I wouldn't say diagnoses, but just kind of letting people know. I mean, a lot of times somebody may just see their dog scratching, and while I'm blow drying, I'm like, he has a big rash on his back. And they're like, I didn't, you can't see some things. So I would say that I see the dogs a lot more than the vets, so I can always give my customers a heads up for things, or give them recommendations with the experience that I've had over the years.
Right. Right. I apologize. Oh, they're back. We have someone who called in, and I was going to say, please call it back, but they have done just that. And so we're going to accept that call.
Uh,
Good evening. Welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. You are on the air with Carlene Walker.
Hello, hi. I I'm sorry. So my name is Sasha, and one, I just want to say that I think she's so inspiring. I feel like her story is just so inspiring. And so I guess my question, she mentioned that her daughter is into snakes. Does she think that her daughter would be going into the same field as her, or would she encourage that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually had her come in a couple of times and help with some small dogs. Right now her forte is like she loves vacuuming up all the
Yeah,
dog hair. So for right now she's on cleaning staff, but as soon as she gets a little higher so she can stand against the tub, we got to bathe her.
Caller, did you hear her response?
I did not know.
I can hear that you have you're watching her either on YouTube or Facebook, right?
I am. I just turned it down.
Yeah, but there's a delay. So that's what
Oh,
you're
okay.
experiencing. And sometimes it's hard to call in and watch at the same time.
Got it.
But
So what was the response?
she said that her daughter does, and she would help out
Oh, that's
sometimes
so
and become
sweet.
familiar with these um, animals and as pets, which I think is awesome because they women have been stereotyped to be afraid of animals like mice
Mm,
and snakes
absolutely.
and iguanas and lizards and I think that many of them are afraid because other women are afraid. So, it's like
Right.
mass hysteria. And unless it's a spider, I don't think we should be worried about any of those.
Or even spiders.
That's so true.
Well, I must
But
say a
Or
lot of
even
my
spiders.
dogs are
So,
huge.
that's so sweet. But yeah, I just wanted to call and I came across the YouTube and was just listening to her story about leaving where she was working before and just feeling low and then just making a decision to open up her own shop. And I think she's just so inspiring, and I wish her all the best in her business and hope that it thrives and it continues to grow.
Thank you, Sasha.
she said, thank you, Sasha.
Have a good evening.
And listen, we thank you so much for calling into the Winning Women Talk Show. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to hear from you again. Bye bye. So, I love the fact that you are trying to encourage your daughter to have that engagement
Mhm,
and in developing her own sense of appreciation for animals
mhm.
and love,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because women are socialized in some cases to be afraid of things
Mhm.
that they don't need to be afraid of, right? And while I was kidding about the spiders, I really wasn't. But
I'm not scared of spiders. I got you.
uh, but I'm not afraid of mice. I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm not afraid of horses or anything. I like animals. I'm curious about them.
Mhm.
But I recognize too that, I'm not going to go up and pet a bear
Mhm.
that I meet in the woods.
I mean,
So, but common sense says that those animals that we can domesticate
Mhm.
and make pets of, right? Or family members.
Mhm.
That, we should have an understanding and appreciation of them. And I love, because children are very wide open.
Mhm. They
And
are
so if you can get them to love them
funny, but
young,
everything.
yeah. So who introduced you to loving animals?
It's always been a thing. I can't necessarily say. I mean, I grew up in a Jamaican household. You weren't necessarily bringing any pets in my mother's house,
Right.
so it was one of those things where even our first dog, she went and got a nail. She went to a nail appointment, and we kind of snuck the dog in the house because the mutt on the street had puppies. We went to like discounts, and she came back, and there was a dog in a bowl and everything. And we were like, "Can we?" Like it was just one of those things. So like Sam was our first like dog in the family, and that was a whole ride. You know what I mean? But I've just always had a love for animals. I always have. Honestly, I mean, even now, I took my daughters to the aquarium the other day. I don't know who had more fun because I was loving the stingray tank. I was just touching everything. Like I've always loved animals. I think dogs,
Yes.
especially just because of that, um, the human dog bond. I really love, when people are kind of nervous and it's my puppy's first groom and, please, huh? And then when they come back, they squeal and they're so excited and the dog's all happy and how'd she do? And, like that really like makes me happy. But also just like the different personalities in the dogs, the different yeah, there's different personalities. I can have six doodles in a day. They get six different haircuts. There's six different personalities. It's nice. You know what I mean? And they all have their quirks. I have one dog that he always wants to carry his leash around the shop. So I have to give him his leash and he jumps out of the tub and jumps on the table and I have to take his leash from him. But like it's just one of those things. All my dogs come in, I open the door, they run right in the crate, and my owners are like, "How do you get them to do that?" And I'm like, "Cause they just know when they're here that this is what we do." Like, so I run a tight ship, but it's a nice dance. It's a very nice
Yeah.
dance.
So uh, I'm going to expound on a question that came in about doggy treats.
Mhm.
Okay. So a person wanted to know, do you provide doggy treats? And if so, what is there a particular brand that you like, a particular type? Do you keep a variety? But I also wanted to know about that, because I see commercials on television with all these different dog foods, and everybody claims that they're healthier than the other, they're better they're more natural, and all of these things. And all I think to myself, I grew up on a farm, and the dog will eat whatever you put. I'm just
Well,
anyway.
the suburban dog does not quite live like the farm dog. Suburban dogs have variety nowadays, Regina. Um, but actually, the treats is kind of funny because, like I said, my dogs have a routine of running in. My dogs also have a routine of when they go out, they sit right in front of the treat bar so I can give them a treat before their owner takes them home. And sometimes I forget and they will sit there and stare at me and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." But my favorite dog treat to keep are they're a bakery called Three Dog Bakery and they look like Oreos. They have them in different flavors. They have like vanilla cream. They have carob because of course dogs can't have chocolate. They have a whole bunch of flavors, but those are the treats that I keep in my salon that all the dogs
Okay.
are crazy about. So that's my secret.
Okay.
I also keep like the little Bill Jack for the little small ones. Sometimes you have your little petite dogs and they don't like the big cookies.
Right.
Um so and then also Three Dog Bakery also has a it's called the doggy cinnamon roll, but it's kind of like a plain vanilla cookie that kind of, you just want to chuck them something, you could just throw that. But Three Dog Bakery is a very, very good brand. I get it from Amazon.
Okay, you heard that. Three Dog Bakery. If you want to make your dog love you even more, Three Dog Bakery. We'll give
And
them a shout out.
as far as food goes, I mean, honestly, I've been in this business for a very, very long time. So I would say that it all depends on your dog and what works for your dog. Some dogs do totally fine on certain brands and some dogs don't. A lot of nowadays a lot of dogs are getting a lot of allergies actually. So some people a couple of my customers has found that their dog actually has a chicken allergy. And chicken is one of the most used meat bases of a lot of foods. So that's why the new kind of like the farmer's dog and those kinds of foods work better for some dogs because of their allergies or just because of the digestion. So it's kind of what works for your pet. I honestly don't have a specific dog food where I'm like, I've heard that's really good. I've heard the gamut, and what works for one may not work for the other. So it's all about what works for your pet.
Right. So when I hear the word salon, it automatically takes me to the hair salon, right? And I'm just curious, at some point when you are grooming, do you recommend if you notice, for instance, that there's a pet you've been seeing on a regular basis and grooming, and their hair is starting to shed more so than it used to, or it's fading out, it's dry or whatever? Do you recommend certain products to your customers to use on them, or do you just let the customers know, I am going to have to order this kind of product because your dog needs it?
No, Regina, I say I have already conditioned your dog because I noticed that he was dry when he came in.
Oh,
Come on, we want them to come back. We don't give them secrets. I've
okay.
already given the cookies. So, but no, there's a lot of different products to use. Just like you said, it's just like a hair salon. So I have special shampoo poo for my black colored dogs that helps them be shiny. I have a conditioning shampoo for dry dogs. I also do a lot of medicated baths for those dogs with like allergies and stuff like that.
Oh,
They have ketohexidine bath. There's a lot of different things to use on different dogs. So there's a lot of different products. Even recently, I had a fellow groomer come out from Atlanta to teach me how to dye dogs. Shout out to Drea. But so doggy dyeing is a new thing where you can, dye their hair different colors and stuff like that. So I mean, when you talk about the pet industry and dog hair and grooming, it's growing and there is so much. There's so many things. As many things as there are for humans, they have just as much for dogs. Probably even more so the humans can spend their money on the dogs.
okay. Now you're not going to tell me they have weaves for dogs.
They have the little sparkly clip-ins where you
Yeah.
can leave it in the dog's ear so it can be like feathery. And honestly, there are a couple of my Shih Tzus where I do some curls with a flat iron. I've known to braid some dog hair, little top knots. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
I am amazed. Um, and as much, and you can tell because I'm amazed that I don't have a dog at home with me. I don't have time. Because I love animals, and I believe if you're going to possess one, you should be there for them and spend enough time with them. They don't, so that they don't feel
Mhm,
forgotten or left out. And I'm always on the run. I just sleep here, and so I think that is wonderful, that you are not just. And I'm going to be honest, a little crude maybe. Just you're not just a bather and a brusher. I'll just
mhm,
put it that way.
mhm,
You're paying attention, to those, dogs that are your regular customers,
mhm,
and helping families keep them healthy by some of the advice you may give them or the grooming you may do. I'm sure they appreciate it. Do some of them actually ask you to do something special, like when you mentioned the flat iron or whatever? Do some of them come in and say, "Oh, I want curls," or "I want," or
honestly, for the ones that I've done it on, they haven't asked me, but it's kind of like my little thing, like my little touch. There's only a couple of them that I do it to, but it's just kind of a little flair. Or sometimes I have some dogs that they have eyelashes that grow really long and they're kind of cute. So I'll scissor their whole head and I'll leave their eyelashes long. So that's another thing on my doodles that like I leave their eyelashes. So it's just like I guess little things that I just do that are just my style that my customers like. Um, but yeah, so it's just little things like that I put the little bandanas on. I've been known to do a little doggy coloring here or there before. It's just gives a little pizzazz. But obviously, some people don't like, those kinds of things. So there's also, where they just shave them. And I'm like, could do that too. You know what I mean? It's the full it's a very widespread variations of haircuts and different things that you can do to dogs. I mean, nowadays they're turning them into zebras and doing a lot of creative coloring. I, however, do not do that. That takes forever.
Yeah.
That's a very long process. But I mean, the dog grooming industry is just amazing with, how you can make the pets look.
So I'm just curious because I do know of people who don't see a dog, they see a person. I'm
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
so out of curiosity, do people ever want their dogs tattooed?
No.
Or okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't do
just
any. I don't do any tattooing, nothing like that. There's
right.
nothing too crazy. I really don't get a lot of crazy requests. I mean, I had one customer that came in and said that she wanted to trick her kids, so she wanted me to give the dog a mohawk down his whole back, and I did it.
Oh
It's
my
just
gosh.
sometimes, and then they grew out, and the kids were
Yeah,
like, "Don't do that again." So there's sometimes where you can give the dogs funky haircuts and stuff like that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody's, like I said, they all have their personality. Some people, like the dog short, but they want the tails long. Some people like long ears with a little round face. Some people like a big head with a fluffy body. So it's mix and match. It's mix and match.
Do you groom and dress them as well? That was
I,
another
I give
question.
them
I
I
just
give
said
them
I don't know.
bandanas. I don't do clothes. I have little doggy neckties. I do bandanas, um, which my customers love. I go and I get fabric, and every season. So we're moving out of the Valentine's into the St. Patty's Day, and then we'll move into the Easter. But bandanas is one of the things that I put on the dogs for a little extra pizzazz. No clothes though. That's a little bit of doggy torture sometimes.
I can
I put the
imagine.
jackets on as they go out just to protect my work.
Yeah. Well, again, I hope you're laughing and enjoying, but also learning and maybe understanding a little bit more about um, what she does and what people want done for their dogs in her, her business, which is called Precious Paws One at gmail.com, where you can find out everything you need. But her salon is Precious Paws Dog Grooming Salon. And you're listening to Carlene Walker. We have to take another quick break, but again, as you caught from the first one, it won't be long. So if you're going to grab a drink or a bite to eat, now's your time to race to the refrigerator because we'll be right back.
Life can be unpredictable, and when those moments occur, you want the assurance that your family and property are protected. Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency provides insurance coverage and security for every situation: home, life, flood, car, personal, or property. We're here to help you protect what matters most: your future. We are a full-service insurance agency providing experienced experts who speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English to assist you in acquiring the type of insurance coverage you need. That's the Sabatino Mastrocola promise. Contact us at 617-387-7466 or on our website, www.sabatino-ins.com. Get peace of mind today for uncertain tomorrows.
And we are back with the Winning Women Talk Show with our guest tonight, Carlene Walker. I wanted just to say that we don't have any problem taking your phone calls. And so the number to call is 781-384-5587. 781-384-5587. And you can also email us, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. So you were talking earlier about the fact that your business is basically word of mouth.
Mhm.
And obviously what you do, people are talking because you're staying busy. But um, are they people who are local? In Norwood, are they people? I mean, I know you mentioned a couple people from your previous work,
Mhm.
but
I mean, when we're talking a couple, I mean a lot. So my customers span from Needham, Westwood, Norwood, Canton. I have some people who even come to me from Boston. I have a
wow,
they're around. My customers, they're kind of the surrounding areas, but it's not just local people that come to me.
Wow, that is amazing. That when people want to travel that far, that means you are really treating their dog well. Well, we thank goodness there is another caller, and I have to notify. Oh, there, they got it. Okay. So, good evening. You're on the Winning Women Talk Show with our guest tonight, Carlene Walker. Welcome. Caller, can you hear me? Caller, are you there? Let me try this again. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. You're on the air with Carlene Walker.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlene, for a really just amazing conversation about animals. And I think, sometimes people don't realize the value of until you get around an animal lover. So thank you for that. I wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of that starting out and what kept you from starting out before you said the universe kicked you in your butt. And what was that like? And how do you drown out those voices of this might fail?
That's a great question.
That was a great question. I was scared. I I believe that the big box store gave me a certain level of not insurance, but like not liability, protection, I guess. I felt safe, but sometimes that's not necessarily the place for you. So once I had to leave that situation, it was just a matter of really believing in what, like I said, my customers said to me, and my true love for what I do. I mean, I am lucky enough to have gotten into a career that I actually love. Even if I have a hard day, I actually do look forward to the next day because there's a dog that I like that's really coming in, or, there's something. So I really have a love for what I do. I love all my clients, and a lot of people may think you do so many dogs, you don't know. And I know all of them. I know all of them. I know their cuts. I know their families. I know their families' names. Like, you can, I've seen people in grocery stores that I haven't groomed their dogs, and I'm like, your dog's name is Bella. And, it's just one of those things where it's like animals really mean a lot to me. And I really do appreciate the fact that my customers entrust me with them so much. So it's just my love of the game, I guess.
Okay. Well, that caller is not on the air, so they probably are watching you as well. But we hope that you heard an answer that is helpful to you. It sounded like they're on the fence about starting their own business, and hopefully you've given them some encouragement, because if you love what you're thinking about doing, you'll love it even more once you start doing it. I'm sure of it. We have another caller on the line.
Good evening, women.
Good evening, Nina. We're so glad you have
Yes,
joined us this evening with our guest,
you
Carlene.
knew I was going to call in. You knew I was going to call in. I know you did, because you know how I love animals.
Yes. Yes. Well, you were on the air with Carlene, so she's listening.
Well, I appreciate you so much. It's so wonderful to hear a young woman be so enthusiastic about what she's doing. I have cats. I have two cats. And I know you said you didn't really groom cats because it takes two, but I was wondering, my cat has a dirty bottom, and I'm trying to figure out how to clean her and how to, make it so she stays clean. I mean, can I trim her down there?
Actually, you would be able to take her to either a veterinary clinic or a place that does groom cats, and they can give her a sanitary trim, which is shaving around her private areas and her bum so that when she goes, it's a lot cleaner. So you can do that without getting a total groom. Were you
Nina,
looking?
were you able to hear that answer?
No, I did not hear the answer.
Okay. Are you watching on are you watching this on YouTube or Facebook?
I'm on the phone. You think I'm still connected to YouTube or Facebook?
Okay.
I was on Facebook.
Oh,
I was on Facebook, but what I was trying to do was I couldn't call in and listen to you at the same time.
right.
No, I was on YouTube. I couldn't, you can't do both. And I couldn't get Facebook on my laptop.
And so I'm going to ask her to respond to you again because you should be able to hear her.
So I was
Okay.
saying that you can take your cats to the either a veterinarian or a groomer that does
No.
do cats and get a sanitary trim just around her private areas so that when she does go, she doesn't make a mess of herself. If that doesn't work and she actually allows you to clean her, you can always get pet wipes so that you can wipe off her rear end whenever she does go.
So she said you can get her groomed in that area, or you can
Mm-hmm.
get pet wipes and you can use those.
Okay. Okay, but I was just so concerned about trimming, because you can't really tell where stuff is on these little hairy cats.
Yeah, so that's why you would
But
have to
anyway,
take it to a professional
thank
because
you so much. And I appreciate all that you're doing for the dog lovers of the world.
thank you.
Well, thank you, Nina, for calling in and go get some pet wipes.
Okay, I will.
All right. Well, you
Bye-bye.
yeah, bye-bye and thank you. Well, we are they're lined up and I don't know if we're going to get them all, but okay, we have someone. All I know is they're from Deerfield Beach, Florida. Maybe you know who it is. But welcome to the Winning Women Talk Shows. I believe his name is Selvin. And we are glad that you have joined us tonight. And you are on the air with Carlene Walker.
Hello, Regina. Thanks for having me. This is a quick question to Carlene because just listening to her, I know she's able to work with dogs. I know the dogs understand her notions, perhaps her language. She have a dog language. I just want to find out if she believes she have now graduated into becoming what we know generally now as a dog whisperer. If she would see herself as somebody who can communicate with animals at a different level than the average human being. That's a question I'd love Carlene to answer. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you, Selvin. And I know that somehow you're connected with her because I can hear a little bit of an accent that I think is
That's
Jamaican.
my uncle. Hi, uncle. But I do have a bit of a doggy language. Um, it's about confidence. It's about just, I guess, knowing that I won't hurt them. I'm very confident when I work. I don't necessarily I don't want to say give the dogs a chance, but um I guess it's just in my energy and my demeanor. I mean, I've heard from customers that like they can't even touch their dog's feet and their dog doesn't do anything when I cut their nails. So it's a like I said, we have it. Sometimes we just have a thing, but at almost 18 years in the business, I would say I'm a little bit of a whisperer. Not as big as Caesar, but just a smidge. I'll give myself that.
Great answer. A little bit of a whisperer.
Just a little bit.
Right. As I think about your customers again, when we talked before the show, you had mentioned a couple, and I think it's important that people know some maybe that you don't have to mention names, but connections that people may be familiar with, so that if they're thinking about it, they can say to themselves, not only if she can do it, so can I, but well, if they use her, so can I.
Well, so I have been in my years. I've definitely groomed a couple of famous people's dogs, Celtics players, Red Sox players. I've groomed the dogs of the man who created Sam Adams. I've come across a lot of affluent people and I've taken care of their babies. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have There's eventually going to be someone who's a little disappointed.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you didn't do your job well.
Mhm.
People's taste
Mhm.
vary. Do people get jealous because their dogs seem to love you more? They don't want to go home.
I've
They
had a
don't.
couple of customers ask me if I can go home with them. Like even it was very sweet. I have a really big newfie that I've been doing. Her name is Chloe. And unfortunately, Chloe's having some pancreatic issues and she hadn't been eating at all when she was at home. And, you know, her owners came in and told me that this morning. And I groomed her and her owner, when she was leaving, she went to get her cookie and her owner kind of looked like, you know, she hasn't been eating. So he tried to give it to her and she wouldn't eat it. So I took it and I gave it to her and she ate it. And he goes, "Can you come home with me?" Afterwards, when he got her home, his wife actually sent me a text message and said that when Chloe got home, that she ate about a can of dog food and she hadn't eaten in days. So she's like, "I
Oh
think you lifted
my.
his spirits." So it's just sweet things like that where it's just kind of like I get something from them, and what I do for them gives them something. There's a lot of times where the old dogs come in, and when they leave, they got a little extra pep in their step, and you know they're
Yes.
feeling good. So like that's really rewarding. That's really
I love hearing things like that. So people want to know more about your salon. They want to get in touch with you. Can you share a number? I've tried to sneak in your Gmail address again, and you can share that again, and just tell our listeners and viewers how they can bring their dogs to for grooming to you.
So the best way to reach me is 617-580-0720. You can text or call that number. Most of the time, honestly, text messages work better because I'm always with one of my babies and I do not answer phone calls when I'm with my dogs. You can also email at precisionpause1@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at precisionpause and also on Facebook at Precision Paws Dog Grooming. So I'm around and I'm here.
Well, I think it's wonderful. So if you want to call her, 617-580-0720. 617-580-0720. Or you can email her at precisionpause, the number one,
Yes.
at gmail.com. And so our time has run out. I can't believe it, but I want to thank you so much. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
hearing about your work. Your enthusiasm is overwhelming, and but there are a lot of beautiful dogs out there because they've spent time with you. And so thank you for being on our show tonight. And you are indeed, Carlene, a winning woman, and we wish you nothing but the best with your business.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you for having me.
We're so glad. And for those of you who have spent time with us this evening, and I hope you have enjoyed this show. We also have, if you like talk shows, Monday nights, you can watch Talk Time, which goes over national, international, local, and regional news. And you can watch that at 8 to 9 on Monday evenings. It's called Talk Time. If you like soul music or oldies but goodies, on Saturdays on RGB Internet Radio, they run all day long. But at 5 to 7, from 5 to 7, DJ Bobby B has a show called Let's Go Back, and you can call in and tell him the songs you want to hear, and he will play them for you. And then on Sunday mornings, you can get up and head toward church services. And if you want to get in a hallelujah good time mood and spirit, then listen to Sunday Morning Glory with Bishop Robert Brown on Sunday mornings from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. just before you head out for your own services. Thanks for spending time with me. I'll be back next week, same time, same place here on the Winning Women Talk Show. Thank you for spending the evening with us. And don't forget, love somebody. We are out of here. Good night.